Hi, I'm an architect, and I'm personally very interested in using architecture and design as a medium to build equitable societies. How do we do that? Specifically so in today's world, when instead of building for community, like we did in the past with almost every building we ever built, we're building more and more barriers. Barriers which are increasing social inequity, simply because our infrastructure demand, there is a huge mismatch in India today between our demand and availability. And the resources that we have are fairly lacking. If we look at an MGI report, a McKinsey Global Institute report of 2010, by the year 2030, to meet our current urban demands, infrastructure demands, we need to build a single Chicago every year for the next 20 years. How are we going to do that? Firstly, is it even required? And secondly, do we have the resources to do that, right? If you look at this chart, what is important here is that in the, what was projected was that in these 20 years, the rate of growth is really, really high. It goes up 40%, which cannot lead to a sustainable growth model. What it's doing, this is a picture of Mumbai. It could be a picture of any one of our cities. We have a lack of, there's a segregation in society, right? There are barriers between the haves and the have-nots, which are increasing as we speak. And I feel that design is exacerbating that. So can we rethink design? Can we rethink how we build our spaces to provide for all this infrastructure and not in a resource-intensive manner? Let's just look back to our traditional communities. Everything from our bazaars to our urban institutions like temples, mosques, etc., to even a house had a stoop, had a angan, which was a public space. It had public included into it. These are some examples from India, current and past. Stepwells, bazaars, temple complexes, socio-political, economic amalgams where serendipitous meeting of community could happen. Today, that's not happening. We see each other, but we don't interact with each other. Even our gods were multifunctional, right? We were always building multifunctional buildings. As consumers, we're already moving to a shared economy. I mean, this is, everybody knows, from your Ubers to your couch surfing, we are allowing people into our houses, right? So why don't we design spaces which can make this more efficient? Why are we building more and more single-use buildings, which are obviously not sustainable? I'm going to look at the example of a school. All of these single-use buildings can be made into multi-use, but a school as an infrastructure, specifically in India, provides a huge possibility. If we just look at affordable private schools, there's about 60 million square feet of space, which is used for only 980 hours a year out of 8,760 hours. That's how much a school infrastructure remains underutilized. On your left is a typical school, on your right is a multi-use school. What I mean by a multi-use school is that the infrastructure itself, from classrooms to labs to, just like a rooftop, can allow community functions to be embedded into it. For instance, a computer lab could be run as a CSR project. The company can use that, lab after school hours to run their own businesses, but they teach the children during the school hours, and they build the lab for them. So it's a win-win situation where all this vacant infrastructure, from hospitals to theaters to universities, you name it, every building actually possible, can be reutilized if thought efficiently and if designed efficiently. So I leave you with the thought, I'm a part, inclusion has us. Leela Watson, an activist and a artist, said, if you've come to save me, you're wasting your time. But if you're here to work with me, then let's do it.